Hi, today is day 16 in my 30 days to my leap of faith, and thank you, Rachel, for pointing out that I am halfway through. It is halfway through, and it definitely feels like there is a long way to go. And like I've talked about before, it's not an easy process. It is not a one-time deal. It is a consistent daily grind, a daily effort to keep the faith, to keep moving. And I had a reminder of why this is so challenging for me in particular. If anyone has ever studied the Enneagram, it's a kind of like psychological spiritual tool. It's sort of similar in a way to astrology, except it's not based on your birth sign, it's just based on your personality. So, in a way, it's not like you're born, and it's there's 9 types, numbers 1 through 9, and depending on your personality and how you respond to things, you fit into a certain category. And it's not like you're born, I don't believe that you're born a certain number. I think in a way it has to do with the way that you developed in this world, the way that your personality developed. Because I definitely think that although there are some personality characteristics that, are very similar to the fact that I'm a Pisces, Scorpio rising, all of that, I definitely think that there's a level to it that developed due to the family that I grew up in, rather than, it's like the nature versus nurture thing. And yes, there is the idea that I chose who my family is and all of that. But the Enneagram is just an incredible way to learn how you operate. And I am what is a type 6. So I'm a number 6. And 6s are very much, they're in their head. They're very much assessing things at all time. Like we're the ones that are like, okay, so in case of this, event, what are the 10 possible strategies? What are the 10 possible outcomes right now that I would know about? And how am I going to figure that out? And how am I going to plan for the future? So whenever I go anywhere, I bring a backpack so that I have extra clothes, I have my makeup, I have food, I have water, I have a book, none of which I usually use. I just usually have them. I don't always bring a change of clothes with me everywhere, except if I plan on going hiking or I'm taking care of a newborn, but it's that sense of always being prepared. It's kind of like the Boy Scout or the Girl Scout type of the Enneagram. And so for me, fear and anxiety are total everyday experiences. And so, of course, when I get stressed out or when I do anything, I feel a lot of fear. I feel a lot of anxiety. I feel a lot of doubt. And the positive side of that is to move into faith. And faith is kind of like the antidote for me. So of course I'm doing this thing called a leap of faith. And of course I'm really stepping into pushing myself to use faith rather than doubt. And it's funny because of the fear, a lot of 6s can be what's called phobic. And that means that they, move away from things that are potentially scary. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to go to that concert because there's too many people. Or, oh, I'm not going to move or change my job because I could potentially not have, a way of making a living or whatever. I'm the kind of 6 that's a counterphobic 6. And so I do things that are scary. Like I would go bungee jumping, or I would go jump out of a plane, or I do move a lot. And I went backpacking in Southeast Asia and India by myself for a year. Even though it was subconsciously frightening, I knew I just needed to do it because I think there's a part of me that knows it's kind of like if I sit back and wait, I don't have control. And so if I do it first, I can control it more. So it's like the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know kind of thing. And so all of this is just really explaining why I act the way that I act. So today I had a hard day because again, I was exhausted, but I had this sense of I don't know, this inner lack of depth, this lack of meaning, this lack of fulfillment, this lack of joy. I really was looking at my life very objectively, well, probably not. I mean, how objective can you be about your own life? But it was just this level of like, I am not happy with certain things in my life. So what do I do about that? And so I called my friend and I talked to him for a while, which is awesome. But then as soon as I get off the phone with him, I'm right back in my head. That's the other thing about the 6 is we have obsessive thinking, obsessive thoughts. And I get, really wrapped up in it, which is why I'm in Al-Anon, which is why 12-step programs exist. And that's why they say Al-Anon is about the think and AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is about the drink. Like I get into this whole crazy, insane, like over and over compulsive, repetitive thought pattern that just takes me out of my body, and I get just up in my head and I can't get out of it. And I start feeling panic. I start dissociating. I don't know what to do with myself. And it's worse if I don't have people to hang out with and I don't have structure in my life, like school or a job, which none of which I have right now. And it's interesting because there's a part of me that's really scared to share this because I'm like, oh my God, people are going to know about the shit that goes on in my life that I'm so embarrassed about, that I have shame about. I'm ashamed of my life right now. I really am. And yet a part of me knows that I'm not the only one. There are people who've gone through similar situations. There's people going through them right now, and there's people who will go through them. And that's okay. There's nothing for me to be ashamed about because I'm following my dream. I am choosing to not just sit back and live my life the way I used to, which was okay. Like I could, have an okay life, but I really want a great life. I want to be freaking happy. I want to have what I really want. I want to be fulfilled. I want to make a difference. Like I want to live to a greater potential, I want to live my life to the fullest kind of thing. And that doesn't mean I have to jump out of planes in New Zealand every day or, write the great bestseller tomorrow. It could mean that I could, just get to live with my family and end up having my own family and write a couple books and continue my coaching business and be very fulfilled. Like it doesn't have to be this like amazing, incredible blockbuster life. But it's whatever it is that makes me happy, and that's what I'm putting all of my effort into. And I was watching the video from last night, and it's great to hear what I have to say, like I do have wisdom and tips and stuff like that to share. But it was at the end, like when I started doing the thing, because I have a mosquito bite or something on my belly, when I started just talking about how exhausted I am, that I started connecting with my own video. And I realized that that's when, Brene Brown says it's the vulnerability that really has that heart connection. So I can tell you right now, this has been one of the hardest experiences of my life. On a daily basis, I freak out and I'm like, what am I doing? My life is awful. I am not a worthy person. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I'm always going to be lost, Chicken Little, like I catastrophize. And somehow I have managed through this process, through Al-Anon, through other spiritual work, I've learned how to reach out and ask for help. I call people and I cry. I go on walks. I do yoga. I read. I watch TV to distract myself, which is good to get out of my head. I eat really healthy. I try to sleep, like not this past week, but I really try to up my self-care. Even if I feel like crap, at least I'm taking care of myself as much as possible. And that I feel like, helps. It doesn't make it better. Like today I was freaking out and still really lonely. And I felt like, it's been, a week or so that I felt this intense loneliness, this intense anxiety, this overwhelming thoughts. Like my head just does not shut up. And it ended up just kind of going away. I went to this panel where I was on this Enneagram panel where there's like one of each 9 types, and then we talked to a group and the facilitator asked questions about our type. So it's just like having a different, sign, astrology sign up there and people talking and asking questions. And it was kind of fun. And I went, and it's just this idea of just keeping on going. One thing leads to another. I heard that song on the way home, and it's true. It's like, I didn't know that I was going to meet cool people and have a good time there and get out of my head, but I just kept going. I kept putting one foot in front of the other. I kept taking the next right action step. Like I called people. I called a bunch of people until I got a hold of somebody. I left messages, so now other people are calling me back with help. I I got myself to eat something, because that's the thing when I get stressed out like this, I don't sleep, I'm not eating as much, like I get into like a real panicky space. So I made sure to eat like some grounding, good, healthy, super healthy food, and to take care of myself. And I feel better now. I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow, but I'm exhausted. I am emotionally exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. I'm physically exhausted. I'm super happy tomorrow. I have a client who I love and adore, so I love talking with her. My clients are amazing. I love my clients. They bring me joy and happiness into my life. I love my work, and I'm having lunch with a friend who I dearly love and adore, and I might be able to make it to another friend's birthday party. I'm not sure, but I don't know, like, it's like the whole thing of this too shall pass, kind of like just move through it and trust that you can get through it. If I could get through what I've been going through the past few days, if anyone out there has ever, been addicted to something, or you compulsively, maybe you're trying to cut out a certain food or something like that, it's really hard, especially if you're like emotionally attached to it. If it's a coping mechanism for you, it's really, really hard to just stop something. And that's kind of what I'm in right now. I'm learning to stop the obsessing. I'm learning to stop my chicken littling, my catastrophizing, and just really like be in the moment and trust and have faith. And it sounds simple, and it's really, really, really hard. I mean, I was in tears today, yesterday, the day before. I mean, I've been going through the freaking ringer, you know what I mean? But I know that I have to keep going, because I was doing something, I was working the steps in a program last year, and I was doing this one step where I felt like I was walking through cement. I was swimming through cement. And my friend at the time told me, she's like, well, then don't stop, keep going, because if you stop, you're going to get stuck. And that's kind of how I feel now. And if I keep going, eventually I'll get to the other side, which I did last year. So I'll probably do that again this year. And as I got to the event tonight, I heard this guy saying this little phrase that I love that says, like, it always works out in the end, and if it's always okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end. And that's what I have to remind myself. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Like, I just have to keep going, and I have to keep trusting, and I have to ask for help. And this is what I'm learning right now. So I guess my question for you today is, where can you ask for help? Where can you reach out to people? Maybe just to hear what you have to say. Maybe to ask people to help you promote yourself. Like, whatever your need is right now, there are people who are so willing to help you. I mean, I was terrified to call people today and tell them what was going on with me, because I was so embarrassed. I mean, I could cry right now thinking about it. I was so ashamed and embarrassed of how I felt. But people were willing to help me. Like, 3 people have called me back. I ended up talking to 2 people. Like, people really want to help. And it took me having the courage to reach out and call people. And I was pretty amazed at the fact that I could do it and that people care. So where can you ask for help? You're not meant to do it on your own. You're not alone. The angels, the universe are with you. But where are people in your life? And maybe it seems really hard. Maybe for me, it's like one of the hardest things ever. I never want to rely on people. I never want to ask for help. I wish I could do everything by myself. It's just so much easier that way. And then I don't have to put people out and, all of that kind of thing. But where can you ask for help? And maybe you need help from me, contact me, go to my website, email me, whatever. And we can figure this out, we can figure this out together. So, just sending you many, many angel blessings. You're not alone. And just know that you can ask for help and that there's help for you. You are not alone. I guaranteed what you're going through is not anything to be horribly ashamed about. And you're not the first person to go through it. That's one thing, the main thing I've learned at 12-step program support groups is everybody's been where I've been in one way or another. And they will continue, people will continue to be that way. So then I can help support them too. So I just really hope you know that you're not alone and you are loved and you are supported. So I will see you tomorrow, and I'm sending you big, big hugs, and to know that you are beautiful exactly the way you are. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.